Okay, so we are back, and right before we started airing, we were kind of going over what Sholmes was saying, and my lady friend says that, you know, he looks nothing like the guy in the newspaper. Maybe that's the ballerina dressed up. That's what you're theorizing.
Well, I don't know the Russian. The male Russian terrorist dude.
Yeah. It does look different, though, now that you mention it.
His nose is more round here, and in the picture it's pointy.
Which, speaking of which, does she have a round nose?
No, but she would have on, like, disguise glasses.
Yeah. So the dubious looking Russian, Mr. Roylott, obviously what catches the eye in the first place. It's the enormous pair of shears in your hand. We ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. I'm not sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? I doubt that's something I'll ever have to worry about. It doesn't quite sit right with me, though. It doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Roylott either. Which means, I suppose, that the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch a key word here, Naruhodo-san, and see if it helps matters. Alright, but how? I think we should start by taking a long, hard look at Mr. Roylott. I wonder if it's really his beard that he intended to use those shears on. Exactly. If we do manage to find something that fits the sense of Mr. Sholmes' deduction better, then what? Then I'll leave the rest in your capable hands, Naruhodo-san.
He gets the paper in his pocket.
Why am I the one to do something about this? Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around the last sentence. What exactly Mr. Roylott really going to use the enormous shears for?
It's in his pocket.
Coat buttons. Golden locks. What? Golden locks?
Yes! Yes!
You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the golden locks you sport. Indeed, you have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. Such lush golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. You're not a man at all, you're a woman. And judging from the length and sheen of your hair, one's still very much in her youth. Oh no. If only I'd managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected. The question then begged is this: why would you desire to rid yourself of the magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals her true identity is the article about the revolutionary. Well, that was a shock. I know the old man was really a young woman in disguise, did you? What? Why are you staring at me like that? Yes, it was a surprise, Naruhodo-san. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Sorry? You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room deducing the facts with Mr. Sholmes. I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. This is strictly business. So yes, I understand. Say no more. Well, anyway, let's focus on this next part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction, shall we? The evidence that he's picked out doesn't fit the facts at all now. No, that's true, given that Mr. Roylott is actually a woman. Exactly. He, or rather she, can't possibly be this merciless revolutionary. I suppose it's because the deduction as a whole has taken a different direction now. Yes. Let's switch the evidence for something else, something that fits the facts as we now understand them. For some reason, this woman needed to try to hide her true identity. I realize, though, I've either read or heard about a young woman in a situation like that recently. Alright, I'll do my best. This is kind of like Cyclops, only done differently.
I like the Cyclops.
Yeah, this is kind of the same kind of thing. Like, I bet you, like, later, it's like we don't have enough evidence to correct this deduction. And here we go, article about Ballerina. The evidence that reveals her true identity is, of course, the article about the ballerina. That's right, you hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. It would appear we are finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity is that of the Novovich Ballet's prima ballerina, Miss Nikolina Pavlova. Oh, I hope that shears... I was about to say, I hope it didn't fall on her, but at least it was just the hat.
She looks angry.
You're right. My real name is Nina. I mean Nikolina Pavlova. But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. So the ballerina didn't kidnap the ballerina. We know that.
So is the terrorist in the box? Who's in the box?
Now, as per my second conclusion, you are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime over there... Oh yes, Miss Pavlova. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray. You see, I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes, yet that traveling case. This woman is the ballerina, and she's right in front of our eyes, so clearly she can't be inside that traveling case as well. Now that's right, it seems she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime this young woman is apparently committing? I can see I'm going to have to step in and fix the great detective's mistake again. You seem to look pleased, Naruhodo-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around with Mr. Sholmes? Stop it. Anyway, there must be something else here that shows what this woman is up to. Let's see. The proof of your crime is the tiara, the wastepaper basket, the traveling case.
Well, she has the tiara. It's worth 25,000 whatevers, right?
That's right.
Can we open the case?
I don't think so, no.
I think it's the tiara, because the tiara is missing too, right?
Right, so let's see. And I guess that means we broke the psych lock in a way. The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. Ah! I believe this tiara is worn on stage by dancers of the Novovich Ballet, is it not? Indeed, it would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in the newspaper article. And if the reporting is to be believed, it's an item worth 20,000 rubles. In summary, the crime you have committed is theft. Oh no! Yes, you left your ballet troupe, unlawfully taking their precious tiara with you. I have no one, no family, no friends, I am all alone, and I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was a present from, how do you say, an Earl of Prussia. It belongs to me. This girl is only 15 years old, and she's run away all by herself. She must have been extremely lonely. Alright, I will tell you everything. There is no point to hiding it now. Come, come, let us not be hasty. What? There remains one unsolved mystery about you. Mystery? What do you mean? You have staunchly refused to open this traveling case of yours in our presence. It is reasonable to conclude, therefore, that there exists some reason why you wish it to remain closed. Is that not so, Miss Pavlova? My dear girl, there's no sense in playing games with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case, even before I have ever laid eyes on them. Dear me. We are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless oh boy, I don't know that one. Betrays you. Once again, we only need to follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the books on the shelf. He's completely changed tack with his deduction now. I think Mr. Sholmes is adapting his logic to the changing circumstances, don't you? Maybe, but why has he suddenly brought the bookshelf into all this? It's just a wild guess, surely. Oh, do you think so? Well, it doesn't seem likely that the reason why this young woman doesn't want to open her case would have been written in a book that doesn't even belong to her. Yes, that's true, but still, Miss Pavlova certainly did cast her eyes in that direction. I noticed it myself. Then there has to be another reason why she won't open her case. It must be somewhere in the same area, if that's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn. I agree. That's the only answer. Whatever she has hidden inside that case should be revealed by following her gaze in the direction of the bookcase. Rules of passage. These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS Bura. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are all... Pets! She has a pet in there! One has break the rule. Oh dear, I'm sure the punishment would be severe, Naruhodo-san. You'd probably be left to drift in the freezing cold ocean, or shut inside a tiny wardrobe for days on end. So I've actually been serving time for weeks now, have I? That's what she's looking at. So you can press X to investigate, but... Yes! Yes! That's gotta be it. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open the case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from carriage on this vessel. That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time. No weapon or other dangerous item will move of its own accord. Which leaves but one possibility, Mr. Pavlova. Inside your traveling case... is the last item forbidden in the vessel's rules of passage of... Animal.
Kitty?
I guess we'll see. So clearly you aren't who you said you were. No, I am not Grimsby Roylott. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. Everything you said was correct. You absconded during one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape your homeland. Later that same night, you stole aboard this vessel. Which couldn't have been easy. The Bura is a huge steamship with a vast crew. Could you really have snuck on board without being noticed? In order to obscure your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman, and you intended to sever all links with your past by severing your long hair. Yet to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to leave well alone. So, if it was just you, about to cut off your own hair, who was it that let out the scream we heard from inside the cabin? The veritable tinkling of a bell? Why, none other than this young lady, naturally. More like a full set of pipes, if you ask me. I was so scared when I ran away in Shanghai. I was sure they would come looking for me. That's why I decided to, how do you say, disgust myself, so no one would recognize me. As a result, you transformed yourself into that questionable old man? I see. I put on the fur hat and fake beard, then just before you came in here, I saw in the newspaper, right on the page, there was a picture of me. I was so frightened, I couldn't stop from screaming. I knew that if I didn't change my appearances completely, they would find me. so I decided to cut all my hair as fastly as possible. I picked the scissors in my hand, and at that precise moment, we walked in through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door. Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? Things do indeed happen like that, from time to time. Are those two even talking about the same thing? There's just one more thing I'd like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? You are right, it is my dear friend inside, my only friend in the whole world. Please, don't tell anyone. If the captain finds out, if you say to any of the crew, your secret is safe with us, I assure you, but in return, you must tell us in as much detail as you can muster about the events of last night. Yes, all right. I will tell you. Well, Mr. Naruhodo? Wasn't it something, Mr. Sholmes' great deduction? It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what. But at least Miss Pavlova has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible. Indeed, it is incredible. And one more thing. Oh, yes, what? Observe your wrists. Yeah, I thought so. Your hands are cupped together. What? But how? True to my word, I have restored your shackles. When and why? There is still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry to say, it can't be helped at the moment. Can't it really? Anyway, let's listen to what Miss Pavlova has to say.
I wanted to open the trunk first.
I know! Better put some air holes in there. Can't go on not knowing. I have to find out what the speckled Bayon that Kazuma-sama wrote about in his diary really was. So, obviously, just because she's a character and she's in the next room, I'm suspicious. But I kind of don't want her to be the murderer because she just seems like she's totally alone.
Ask about her friends.
So the friend you mentioned is inside your traveling case, is that right? I don't think animals are allowed on board according to the rules of passage. Oh, please, don't tell any of the crew. If they find my precious, then the burly Russians would bestir themselves in unison to throw you and your case overboard, no doubt. Oh! So reassuring, Mr. Sholmes. But what sort of pet is your friend? A little puppy? It is, isn't it? Maybe an adorable little rabbit? You critter Russia as a land with small rabbits, do you? Oh, don't they have small rabbits there, then? You may well ask. I have no idea.
You think it's a snake?
God, I hope not. You're two miserable bunglers when it comes to understand the nature of young Ballerina's friends. Isn't it obvious? It must be a chicken. Really? Consider the benefits. A rousing wake-up call, daily fresh eggs. And when adversity strikes, it could satisfy the needs of sustenance. So you'd eat your friends. I'll remember that. Well, it would appear this friend's identity is a closely guarded secret not to be revealed. She obviously doesn't quite trust us yet. There's something I should like to show her, I think. Maybe she might be able to shed some light on it. Oh, well, she can read this. Maybe, wait. I don't think I can present anything yet. Miss Pavlova, would you take a look at this? I don't know. I don't know anything. Mr. Naruhodo, you're frightening the poor girl.
What'd you show her?
I showed her the picture of him writing in Russian so she could tell us what it says.
Show him the diary where he talks about the speckled
band. Gotcha. This is the diary of my friend who passed away. His diary? Yes, and he wrote it in it last night before he died. Something a little unusual. It read, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. And then a few minutes later, 1:05 a.m. would look like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Well, in that opening movie, it was a snake. It would make sense. A speckled band? I don't understand. It's strange, isn't it? But the ventilator he mentioned joins to this cabin, you see. It's up there on the wall. In other words, this cabin and the victim's cabin are connected together. Oh. Miss Pavlova? Has something occurred to you? Does the speckled band the victim mentioned mean something to you? Or the whistling sound, perhaps? No. I don't know anything. Oh. Okay. Let's talk to her a little more, and then maybe...
Okay.
Did you know that someone was killed in the cabin next door to this one last night? One of the crewmen told me this morning when I was eating breakfast. The man who died, he was a friend of mine. Oh. That's why we're trying to find out what happened. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Perhaps you heard a strange noise, for example? Perhaps people talking? Perhaps a ship was absorbed in a wild tempest. Perhaps a steam engine exploded. Perhaps everyone on board would have noticed if that had happened. Miss Pavlova, is there anything you can tell us? I don't know. I'm sorry, but all I could think about last night was what I had done and whether they would find me. I didn't notice anything that was happening around me. Oh, I see. You've run away from your ballet company, haven't you? The Novovich Ballet? Yes. I am traveling to Great Britain, and from there, I want to go to America. I will never dance again. I want to forget everything about the ballet. I will start a new life. You wish to forget? A challenging proposition. When you have that striking tiara as a reminder. But the tiara is mine. I need it to live. I have no money of my own. The Novovich Ballet gives us only a little food and water, and we must dance all over the world. I had to run away. I had no choice. If I stayed, it would have killed me. So you ran away to protect yourself? Yes. And the crew of this ship, they have all been kind to me. They let me come on board, and they said I could hide in this cabin. If that is indeed the truth, Miss Pavlova, it creates a most intriguing conundrum. Yes, it does. What do you think about it, Mr. Naruhodo? Me? Oh, well... Yes, of course. I think we should hear Miss Pavlova's explanation. To what conundrum, I'm not sure, but... Miss Pavlova, allow me to pose you a riddle. According to this newspaper, it was only yesterday that you absconded from the ballet. Now, that being the case, it must have been last night that you boarded this vessel. However, the SS Buria stopped by no port last night. Ah, that's it, of course. So how is it, pray, that you come to be aboard? Now that I think about it, the crewmen outside the cabin strangely when we mentioned that. It was just after we asked about when the occupant of this cabin came aboard. That is not your business. Yeah, I remember that. Yes, you're right. He did seem to be hiding something. An angel descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to the stage. Sorry, what was that? It is how the Russian newspaper described one of my performances. And that is how I came here too. I descended from the heavens because I am an angel. Considering English isn't your mother tongue, your description is very vivid. Mr. Sholmes once said, I never can resist a touch of the dramatic. It seems Miss Pavlova is the same. A genius descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to detection. Words once said about myself. A quote from a wonderfully extravagant advertisement for the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, in fact. Yes, Mr. Showy. Anyway, it doesn't look like Miss Pavlova is going to tell us what really happened. Excuse me, Mr. Roylott. Yes, what? Wow, she's fast. Yeah, what the heck? Captain would like to speak with you. You must come to Captain's quarters at once, please. Alright, I'll come now. What? You must leave, now. Oh no, it's fine, don't mind us. Yes, please don't worry yourself, Mr. Roylott. Get out! The passenger said out, or you want me to throw you out? It looks like we'll have to leave investigating this cabin until later. What a pity. And so we lost our chance. Having still not managed to investigate Miss Pavlova's cabin, we were unceremoniously chased out. That is to say, we were quite literally picked up and thrown into the passageway outside. So she's still hiding something. You know, it's funny, because as off as his deduction was, I didn't even realize that there was a contradiction there with the lack of a port.
Yeah, well, they didn't really talk about it, or we were sleeping.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it didn't seem like important enough to stick when we read it.
Well, how did they get the newspaper? If they hadn't been to a port.
I forgot, how did we get that newspaper?
Sholmes gave it to us.
How did he get the newspaper?
I don't know.
Now we have a conundrum.
I know, we do.
Sholmes is the murderer, yet he's supposed to be a recurring character. I wish we hadn't been thrown out like that. I wish we'd managed to find some clue as to what that speckled band might be. We didn't manage to investigate it all. And I imagine that we won't be able to for a while longer. We'll never get past that sailor guarding the door. He's clearly glaring at us as if to say, don't even think about it. Oh, wait a minute. What is it? Well, what happened to our great detective friend? Where did he go? Oh yes, he's completely disappeared. When did he do that? He slipped away as quietly as the wind, but not before ensuring these were securely back on my wrists.
You want to try to talk to Stroganoff?
Sure. I really wish we'd have a chance to look around in Miss Pavlova's cabin. What? Why you look like that? You want something? Maybe you want me to throw you out again, Oh, no, definitely not that. Next time I have to throw you out, I show you where lobsters spend winter, understand? Understand.
Okay, he doesn't want to talk to us.
Yeah, I managed to steer clear of him until he's forgotten my face. I don't think he'll ever forget your face, Naruhodo-san. She's adorable. Okay, we already read this. The book on top, really huge. Yes, I'm sure that's a ship's log. Shall we have a little look through it? The writing is so neat and precise, every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and steady sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. Anyway, look here. The last page is mostly blank, that means there was nothing to report. I'm a bit suspicious of this guy, actually.
What?
I'm kind of suspicious of the actual sailor dude.
Why?
Nothing to report. Just seems weird that he would have not seen anything. That door leads to the second class area. It's locked, I can't open it. No, well, that stands to reason. No one wants to let the murderer escape. Gosh, she gave me a very stern look when she said that. Okay, well, maybe we gotta go back into my cabin?
Maybe.
Or... yeah, okay. Okay. First class cabin number 1. Yes, that's our cabin. Not our cabin, it's Kazuma-sama's. Sorry. Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin. You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? As small as the wardrobe I've been calling home.
Where's her room?
Anyway, her room is that room, I guess, but I guess she doesn't even think she has a place in that room.
She isn't in that room with him.
I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga has managed to uncover any new clues. Yes, we should probably find him and ask. Okay.
So he's not in there?
Well, I guess we gotta move in. Can't get back in, so let's go back into the cabin. Looks like they're still investigating in here. Yes, on that subject, I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga is unscathed. What do you mean unscathed? Surely you haven't forgotten, have you, Nuruhata-san? Don't you remember what he said about allowing you out of this cabin to investigate? He was going to talk to the captain about it. He said he'd lay his life on the line for you. Oh, yes. But I'm sure he was exaggerating. Let's see what he has to say for himself. He might have some new information for us. You never know. Is there something we didn't do?
We have to talk to him again?
Well, it's not checked off. You, where did you go? Oh, sorry, I just went to the next door cabin. Why? Who gave you permission? Well, Seaman Hosonaga did. The new Japanese, was it? Later I will roll him into a ball and throw him in cold room. Phew, he's gone back to guarding the door. I hope Inspector Hosonaga doesn't find himself in too much trouble on our account. He's really gone out of his way to help us, hasn't he? When we get back to Japan, we'll have to take him for a steak at La Carnival. That could be a very long time from now, Naruhodo-san. So it's clear that these letters were written with the ink that was somehow spilt on the floor, and they spell the Russian word for wardrobe. It does seem to be an unambiguous pointer to you, Naruhodo-san, as you were sleeping in there. But to be truly unambiguous, it should have just spelled out my name, don't you think? Well, either way, one fact remains. It's hard to imagine that Kazuma-sama would have written his last words or word in Russian, which begs the question of who did write it. This is where Kazuma spent his final moments writing his diary. 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 what looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling. Looking at his writing here on this page, it's almost impossible to believe that he's gone. Kazuma-sama left us a valuable clue in these words, I'm sure of it. We have to solve this mystery, Naruhodo-san. We will. Oh, there he is. Oh, no! Ah, you're back. Inspector! What happened to you? Your face is... Please, don't worry about it. They're just scratches. Made by a bear, maybe. When I told the captain I'd given you permission to investigate, he told me he'd pummel me with his fist and then toss me overboard. What? But the pummeling was over in a flash, and he must have decided against throwing me overboard. So it was nothing, really. It looks like he wasn't joking when he said he'd lay his life on the line if he had to. Well, thanks to your efforts, we now know a little about the neighboring cabin. Yes, so I understand. Oh? I bumped into a man claiming to be a great detective a little while ago. I think his name was something like Erlach Scholz? I don't think he was German, though. Ah, that explains it. Shall we compare notes, then? We can tell you what we found out. Yes, let's do it. Alright, what would you like?
I'm a great detective, I guess.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes was here, was he? Yes, he seemed to be enjoying himself a little too much, as we crept about on the floor investigating. But then, he suddenly left. I suppose he must have become bored. Did he say anything at all? Actually, now you mention it, yes, just one thing, but he practically shouted it. It's shoe polish, was all he said. Shoe polish? I wonder what he meant. It was when he was over there by the piece of broken glass, do you see? Ah, perhaps he was talking about this brick-colored mark, do you think? Ah, yes, that must be it. But how could Mr. Sholmes know that it's shoe polish? That leaves me cold, I'm afraid. I have no idea. What is it, Susaru-san? Well, Kazuma-sama was wearing leather shoes with a very dark tan hue. Dark tan? A sort of dark brownish red, then? Yes, a little like the color of red wine, but darker. I often repaired them for him. Oh, does this mean that this mark was made by the polish on Kazuma's shoes as they scuffed on the floor? What? Nikolina Pavlova? She's at the cabin next door. Oh, do you know who she is? Please, what self-respecting ballet fan wouldn't know that graceful angel? Oops, I think I upset him there. Well, that tells us the neighboring cabin is unrelated to the case, at least. Oh, how? Because angels don't go around committing crimes, do they? Oof, now I've definitely upset him. Inspector, has your investigation in here proved fruitful? If I'm honest, there's very little more I can do. Our duty is to make sure the scene isn't disturbed, ready to hand over to the Hong Kong police. So I'm just keeping watch here, trying not to take my eyes off the job. Oh, I see. There is one thing. I do have a small piece of new information for you. Oh, what? Yes, do tell us, Inspector, please. What is this new information you have, Inspector? It's this. The Buria's medical officer has finished his examination of the body. I managed to obtain the report. Oh! Kazuma's post-mortem report. Kazuma-sama. So, what was the cause of death? Damage to the cervical vertebrae is what's written in the report.
His broken neck.
His neck was broken? Yes, it would seem so. There were no obvious wounds or other signs of injury. So at first I think they were considering poison. But it turns out they found no trace of poison in his system at all. Well, what weapon was used then? Nothing has been found as yet, but the fact that there are no signs of a wound suggests it may have been a blunt object, something that wouldn't leave a mark. Oh, I see. All the body's nerves run through the spine to the brain. A strong enough impact to the neck could induce death. It is a possibility, and no obvious wound would be left. Poor Kazuma. I have a second copy of the report. If it might be useful, you're welcome to have it. Really? Are you sure? Yes, it's fine. I trust you. After all, if I didn't trust you, I'd never agree to you leaving this cabin in the first place, would I?
Whoa, because she doesn't even trust.
Yeah, she's feeling guilty. Oh, she's so cute. Just the way she's... when she takes out her book, like, her book has the answer to anything you're talking about. It's like Google back in the day. Or Alexa or Siri. Well, Siri is Google, isn't it?
Hmm.
That's really all I can tell you at this stage. I should return to my post. My fellow crewman's eyes are boring into the back of my head. Yes, that might be for the best, thank you. Poor Inspector. You look exhausted. Oh no, well... I feel terrible that I failed to protect Asogi-san. He was my responsibility. Whoops, sorry. Of course, my pain is nothing compared to yours. You are his friends. The truth is, I seem to have had a heavy head ever since I woke this morning. A heavy head? That's interesting. My head's still throbbing, too. So now we know it's shoe polish. It really is such a beautiful color, this glass. It looks like whatever it was has broken clean in two. But the other half is nowhere to be seen. And then there's this brick-colored mark, which is shoe polish according to that great detective you seem to know all about. I suppose it must be from Kazuma-sama's shoes. Maybe, but what I'd like to know is, how can the detective be so sure that it's shoe polish and not something else? Because he's a great detective, of course. There's hardly a reason, is it? Oh, it's there again. So this ventilator joins to Miss Pavlova's cabin. Yes, that's right. And just a few minutes before he died, Kazuma saw something emerging from it. The speckled band, as he described it. If only Miss Pavlova had been able to shed some light on it, but she seemed as baffled as we are. Yes, I wonder if she's telling us everything, though. I'm not sure. I know most people aboard would say the same about me, but there was something about that woman that didn't sit right with me. So I think we investigated everything in this room. Well, I mean, I thought I got this yesterday. Rules of passage. See? Her book has everything! So by bringing her pet on board, Miss Pavlova has broken the rules.
But what if her pet is a pet and dangerous?
Exactly. It is a dangerous weapon if it's what we think it is. She called it her friend, didn't she? Yes, although we don't know what form this friend takes as of yet. I'm almost certain that whatever it is, it's inside the traveling case in their cabin. Oh, friend, there's more to this than it seems, I think. Okay.
Can we move?
Yes, so let's go back.
Maybe beef stroganoff's not there. It's not.
Perfect. Ah, look, Naruhodo-san. Seaman Stroganov has gone. Strong enough? The burly Russian sailor who's always crossing his arms and glaring at us. All these Russian names are impossible to remember. Tra-la-la. Did you hear that? It sounded like someone singing. Tra-la-la-lira-lira-lay. I did it the great detective way. This caroling. I know that lark-like voice. Well, never mind that now. This is a golden opportunity for us. Yes, you're right. We must seize it. Let's get inside Miss Pavlova's cabin while we can and investigate. Definitely, before that stringy knot crewman comes back. It's Stroganov, not stringy knot. You know, it's funny, and I wonder, this is a Japanese developer, I wonder if it was kind of tongue-in-cheek, just because Americans play this game too, and they might have trouble remembering Japanese names.
Yeah, the Japanese names in this are hard.
Yeah, I feel like it's tongue-in-cheek, like they're doing that as kind of like a self-aware joke, and... Okay. Yes.
It's open already!
It is. What the? Miss Pavlova isn't back yet. Susato-san. Oh, where's she gone? Hey, what are you doing? She's reading her book. Those are her private things. There's not a moment to waste, Naruhodo-san. We must investigate as quickly as we can. I suppose you're right. For Kazuma's sake. Not just for Kazuma-sama. What do you mean? It can't be long now until we arrive at port in Hong Kong. I don't want you to be in those handcuffs when we get there. Really? We must solve this case, Naruhodo-san, by ourselves if we have to. Yes, we will. She's come around. She must have been thinking about it and felt guilty. Okay, first thing, obvious. Oh my, Miss Papua's case is open. It's completely empty inside, but according to the great detective's great deduction, she was hiding her special friend in there. Yes, a friend that she had to keep secret. But you're not allowed to bring animals aboard the SS Borea, or I don't know. I wonder what kind of animal she had in there. And more to the point, where is it now? Naruhodo-san, are you there? Sorry, I'm right here, yes, why? Oh, good. I thought you might have climbed into the wardrobe when I wasn't looking. There's no place like home. Believe me, I did have some strange compulsion to jump inside every wardrobe I see, you know. Well, anyway, I'm not sure anyone could fit inside this one. It's full of beautiful outfits. I suppose they're all stage costumes. I was rather hoping we might find Miss Pavlova's friend hiding in there, but no such luck. Not for sure. Is she going to reorganize this too? All those books have toppled all together. Look, every single one. Do you think that's a god of the sea, perhaps? He's toppled too, though. It's exactly the same as the bookcase next door, in Cosmo's cabin. Perhaps Miss Pavlova was practicing a difficult ballet pose and fell against the bookcase. I don't know. Would she really be practicing ballet on the same night she ran away from her ballet company? Alright then. It must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked them all over in a fit of rage. Not everything bad that happens on the ship is because of me, you know. Well, anyway, I'll set them all straight again in here, too. I don't like seeing things in disarray. I wonder if there's a purpose to her doing that, besides just, you know...
Why is her plate on the floor?
Yeah, let's do that first. I wonder what this little saucer is doing on the floor. Yes, it doesn't look like it's been dropped. More like it was put there deliberately. Do you think there could be a leak in the roof just above here? What, a leak? Is this ship quite safe? I'm sure that even if there's a little leak in the roof, it doesn't mean the whole ship is going to sink. No, you're right. Of course you're right. She's really trying to persuade herself, isn't she? It would seem this teapot is empty. So the natural conclusion is that the Russians are very thirsty people. Or, because Miss Pavlova only came into this cabin last night, she hasn't had the chance to make any tea yet. I mean, it could be either. It's definitely that they're excessively thirsty. I'll lay 1,000 to 1 on it. You're rather obstinate, aren't you, Naruhodo-san? There are just a few books on the desk, nothing else but the looks of it. Well, Miss Pavlova only ran away from the ballet last night. She's hardly occupied this cabin for any time at all. That's true. I wonder what kind of book she likes to read. Let me see. Yes, I see. It would seem that Miss Pavlova enjoys reading. Books written in Russian. Thanks. I think I probably already knew that. It's rude to ask too much of people, Naruhodo-san. Kindly remember that. Well, we read this many times. Yeah, we read the rules of passage. Pets. I suppose Miss Pavlova realized that she needed to keep the contents of her case a secret after she read this. Her special friend, I mean. I wonder where her friend has disappeared to now. She's probably having fun exploring the ship, I imagine. I just hope Seaman Stroganoff doesn't find it and throw it overboard. Oh yes, so do I. See if there's anything in here. I suppose every cabin has a waste paper basket. Shall we have a little look and see what's been thrown away? Naruhodo-san, It's poor etiquette to go stifling through someone's rubbish, you know. Ah, those eyes. She's looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now. However, these are special circumstances, I think. Exactly, we have no choice. Anything in here at all? Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. This cabin door has the same sort of bolted latch that our cabin door has. If the bolt's drawn across, there's no way anybody could enter the cabin from outside. Yes, it's not a particularly heavy-duty bolt, is it? But still, it wouldn't slide across of its own accord, would it? No, and the door is made of metal, so there's no chance of trickery using magnets to unbolt it from the outside. And it seals up perfectly, too, to stop any seawater coming in. So you couldn't use the method you told me of passing a thread through a crack outside the closed door either. I seem to know a lot of tricks for opening doors. I'm starting to see why they suspect me. There's one of these next to the bed in Kazuma's cabin, or Kazuma's cabin too. Yes, it's a bell cord. I can't resist. She barely hesitated there, and she gave it a good tug, too. No, I didn't actually expect anyone to come. We don't want them to. We're trying to investigate in secret. So this ventilator connects to Kazuma's cabin next door. Yes, although what a fool a shipbuilder must be to open a ventilator into another room. Ah, maybe it's so that if there's a gas leak next door, the occupant of this cabin would notice and raise the alarm. Or the occupants of both cabins would die of gas poisoning. That is a possibility. Anyway, last night, Kazuma wrote that he saw a speckled band coming out of this ventilator. I don't feel like we didn't get any evidence from everything we investigated.
Yeah. Look in that bag by the door.
I tried to. It didn't. Nothing happened. I'll show you. See? It doesn't light up.
Maybe we have to go back and talk to someone in the hall?
Perhaps. This does seem weird, yeah. Well, let's go back and talk to, oh god, I forgot his name. Well, now there's a check mark. Yeah, no new information. He's like, dude, why did you just call me?
I feel we need to spend a little bit more time investigating why you're here.
Yeah, that's what she said. So I wonder if that was a hint.
Oh, talk to him.
Oh! We never even looked here when we heard him singing. Oh, it's Mr. Sholmes, look. Wow, you never know where he's going to turn up next, do you? He seems to be stealing a look at something as he sings to himself. Tra-la-la-leer-leer-lay, I did it the great detective way. He's still singing. Do you think he hasn't noticed us? Or he's simply in extremely high spirits? Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when the yard bit off more than it could chew. And through it all, when there was doubt, it's lucky Herlock was about. Excuse me. I solved it all and I stood tall. I did it the great detective way. That didn't rhyme. Mr. Sholmes. What is it, you want to fight, Honestly, interrupting a fellow when he's singing, and I was about to reach the climactic finish. sorry, I thought you were never going to stop, so I figured now is as good a time as any. I very nearly dropped you to the floor with one of my famous right hooks. Alright, I get the picture. Now could you put those fists away? Mr. Sholmes, you seem to be examining something before we interrupted you. Ah, yes, that. I was immersed in study of the ship's log as penned by the stockily built crewman, who's usually on guard here. Oh yes, the ship's log. And did you find anything useful from it? Well, after 2 a.m. this morning, the majority of the entries are blank. This means that there was nothing to report. Nothing of note happened, so... You truly are a student from the land of the rising sun. You've been utterly blinded by it. Sorry? Your logic, my boy, is inverted. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? Observe the other pages and all shall become clear. It would seem the same crewman off-stands sentry in this first-class passageway, and he has an almost religious practice of recording nothing to report every half hour. Oh, he writes that in every 30 minutes. Nothing to report. Precisely. Put simply, the seaman writes nothing to report when there is just that. And yet, the ship's log from last night is largely blank. He didn't even write nothing to report. Do you mean... Yes, there were circumstances afoot last night which led to the seaman being absent from his post. What kind of circumstances? What happened? That remains a mystery for now, but we can be sure something significant took place. So significant that it caused the seaman to forget his regular habit of scribing nothing to report in the log. There are important details I would stake my life on it. You must log the ship's log in your mental file. Now that deduction was worthy of a great detective. Ah, you're starting to understand what my way is, I see. What makes Sholmes, Sholmes. Brilliance. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Oh, ouch. His head throbs too? What is it, are you hurt? Oh, don't worry yourself. I seem to be afflicted with a throbbing head this morning for some reason, nothing more. Well, my friends, until our next encounter... He's still singing to himself. I can hear it as he wanders down the passageway. Is something wrong, Susato-san? You seem lost in thought. It's just... Well, I feel the same. Sorry? Ever since I woke this morning, I've had something of a headache. A sort of continuous throbbing. Oh, you too? Now, what's this one here? Nothing important. Okay, now maybe we can go back into the room and something will make more sense. Oh, what's that? Oh dear.
Alarm.
Shut down the engines immediately. Vessel sighted the quarter-mile force. Full stop, hard to starboard. All hands brace for impact. What the? I think we're about to crash into another ship. What? I can't stand. Susato-san, hold on to me. Oh my god, and he's still cuffed. Susato-san, are you alright? Are you injured at all? I think I'm fine. Thank you, Naruhodo-san. It looks like we avoided a collision. I think... Yes, the ship has come to a stop. Oh my goodness, what about you, Naruhodo-san? Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. Uh-oh. Hello, is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hosonaga. Is it you in there, Naruhodo-san? Unbolt the door, quickly. What? The bolt? Look at that! The door's bolted. Did you do that to Sato-san? No, I didn't touch it. Well, that's strange. How did... And, look at all the books. They're just like they were before again. Well, the ship was being, Aren't you going to open the door and let the inspector in? I better tidy this place up first. Our violent emergency stop had solved one mystery, at least in a very vivid way. But I knew that what awaited us on the other side of the cabin door would not be pleasant. I hurried around tidying up the cabin with a new sense of foreboding in my heart. Really?
I thought there was beef stroganoff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dear. This guy's scary. I'm telling you, I think they're all in on this.
Well, they've kidnapped her, or they've let her stow away, essentially, because they all knew that the ballerina was on there.
Yeah.
But maybe another ship brought her to them.
That would make sense, and if something happened, we see how the bolt would go back on.
But that would also explain why he has the newspaper.
Yeah. I wonder. The thing is, you would think Sholmes would have
Deduced
that, yeah, because that's not
something. He deduced that we weren't at the port, but we had the Russian newspaper. How did they get the newspapers on the ship?
I wonder. The door of the cabin ended up bolted, so Sada-san took a deep breath and just gently slid back the bolt. Of course. You, what are you doing in Miss Pavlova's quarters? Ah, you both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine, thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report, though. Oh, how did that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop. Everything is chaos. Passengers are screaming. Crew are running everywhere. This first-class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm. Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? Ah, you wicked intruder, just all in black, you are the devil. Sorry, me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil is at first. You opened my traveling case, how could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector? She knows he's an inspector? Yes. Arrest this man. I know he did it. He is a criminal. Is that not enough that he killed a man? Don, he is a stowaway as well. If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe? Take him away. He's a trespasser as well as everything else. Stowing away, trespassing, killing. She is right. You are devil. It doesn't look good, does it? They're a cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong, then we give you straight to police. Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Hosonaga, is there nothing you can do? This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. This is terrible. This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately.
Converse, I think.
No, we can't converse right now.
You can't?
I mean, we have to. We can if we select them. You've got yourself into a difficult situation here. By entering this cabin uninvited, I mean. Sorry, I was just so desperate to find a clue. I'm afraid there's really nothing more I can do to help you. If I push my luck any further, a punch to the face would be the least of my worries. I'm really sorry. I have to take responsibility for giving you the freedom to investigate Miss Pavlova's cabin. Now this has happened, I'll have to report to the captain at once. I really need some help here. I need a savior to rescue me from this crisis. Miss Pavlova, can I get out? Listen, I'm sorry that we snuck in here without your permission, but get out now. We just needed to investigate in here to help understand what happened to... Oh dear. It's no use. She's not going to listen. I need to find someone who will. Of course. What are you doing up there? Mr. Sholmes? He's wearing the tiara, okay. Naturally, I was analyzing what a weight of 20,000 rubles feels like on one's head. Have I not told you that as a detective, it is my business to know what other people do not? It isn't merely tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no, no. Well, why were you hanging from that hook before then? Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of the 20,000 rubles, naturally. I wish to determine if it would bend that conceited-looking hook on the wall, so full of brag and bounce. I never know whether to take this man seriously or not. You again, the great detective. Inspector, I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other than a hook on the wall next time. What is to report? Speak. An urgent report from a great detective can mean but one thing. Yes. The case of the curate's murder that took place last night here on this vessel, the steamship Beria, has been solved. By me, naturally. What? Really? Yes, I have eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist. So allow me to illuminate all your minds. For I am about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Ha! You have solved it? Even Hedgehog understands this case. We all know who was responsible for killing Student Boy this morning when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is this stowaway and he has handcuffs to prove it. I didn't do it. The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because as everyone knows, the cabin door is bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who was inside the cabin. Yes, it's what's called a locked room mystery in detective stories. Locked room, that is point. The room was locked. Well, I can't deny that. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. You're all quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all. What? Oh yes, there's another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door. What other entrance? We never discovered one. Why, it gapes open-mouthed at you even as we speak, the vent. The ventilator, man. Ventilator? Ha, you think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through that hole. That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks. You're suggesting the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening? It's not possible. But it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder and the act of passing through the ventilator. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean... Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? 123, I can hear a faint whistling sound and speckled band. Precisely, my dear madame. What does it mean? What is the speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? There is a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I am about to expose for you all as the sea will shock you to your cores. Behold. Yeah! What the? There it is. Allow me to introduce you all to the band, the speckled band. Snake? Indubitably. Mr. Sholmes, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you? Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Yes, you're right. I think in this case you'd have to call it the Striped Band, wouldn't you? Heh heh heh. You both see and observe with distinction, however. Do you not think that is precisely the trap into which the culprit wishes you to fall? Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap? How exactly? I think perhaps at this time I expanded the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova? I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one, last night your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. And number two, that same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life. No. She turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Sholmes must be right. He's hit the nail on the head. This young woman's friend killed Mr. Osogi? It looks like he can't speak with that snake coiled around his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, CMN. You wouldn't want the fangs of that long friend in your neck. So everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Is this going to be another deduction? Yep. Ms. Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So he asked, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded the vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected. Another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. And yet, the fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's slawed skin. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin. No? I don't know what you are talking about. Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the bell cord on the other side as a bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake whose markings change each time it sloughs its skin. A snake so dreadful we can only imagine it can be found in the deepest depths of India. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life and why? According to the data of which I have apprised, it would appear that there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost but not quite imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snakebite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There's no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links to the victim's death in that traveling case. When we first ran this cabinet, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't. It is telling the victim made note of a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend. To train? Indeed, you'd put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you'd summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you'd release the snake once more. Do you deny this snake has undergone such training? It's not true. Having slithered through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending its existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt my logic is infallible.
There's a lot of problems with that.
Yeah. Although, I gotta say, a lot of the stuff he concludes is outlandish, but there are some things that you could kind of see, like, oh, the snake killed him and then you hit it. I mean, even we, I think, kind of wondered about that. So it's not, like, all ridiculous, but, like, some of the things that kind of sort of make sense, he just uses to make outlandish deductions. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any creature. Incredible! You've solved the mystery. Amazing! Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Herlock Sholmes has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes? But of course, what's on your mind? It's just about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions as to my method, and will answer both loudly and proudly. Paul.
Yeah, snakes can't hear.
Snakes are egg-laying creatures. You are well informed, madame. And reptiles, don't drink milk. Ah. It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. So, I'm not sure it would be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward. No matter, no doubt Miss Pavlova used some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example, the logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears, there you go. Ah. Yes, so I'm not sure it would really be possible to signal to a snake by whistling. But madame, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute?
Oh, the flute.
I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears? Those creatures are so inept that they'd be practically useless. Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. There's one other thing. You have more? Snakes use the scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the one in those cabins. Then it should try harder. Please, don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have had a part in this. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no, you don't mean... Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be. I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. So remember when I said she's kind of like Maya, like we both figured? She is, in a sense, but Maya was a bit airheaded. In a lot of ways.
Childish.
Yeah. This girl is older, pretty well read, it seems, and tough since she's flipping you around. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. Still cast her eyes down to your wrists again. What? You've done it again! Your handcuffs are gone. Where'd they go? Fear not. I shall see they're restored after our work is done. I really wish you'd leave them off. Especially since he doesn't think it was me anymore, or him anymore. Now everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Intruder's identity, a beloved speckled snake. Alright, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. Yet you're gonna have to see it yourself. Yes, when you recall the sort of events, your aching heart smarts with pain. She does have a pained expression on her face. Yes, that's true. She looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes has quite read her correctly, is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression then? Let's take a moment. And really look very closely at Miss Pavlova. Oh, Naruhodo-san, look. That looks like a very painful wound. It looks like a scratch made by some kind of small animal. And fairly recently, too. Well, what scratcher doesn't appear to be around here? Okay.
Yes! Yes!
Yes, when you recall those horrid events, that claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night? When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded the vessel, was it not? As I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. So that's not her pet. It seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze, Naruhodo-san. That's where we'll find the answer. teapot?
Under the table?
It's not him, I don't think, is it? Wait a minute, what the?
Is she holding the cat?
Yep. Aww!
It's a bell!
Ah, look at that photograph in
That
this
bell
frame.
is broken near the shoe polish.
There must be some This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away. She is exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yes, that's true, but personally, it's the little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe we better take a closer look at this.
Look at his little bell. You can't.
Yeah. Well, we don't even need to. Let's just present the kitten. Without doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes it abundantly clear. Oh no. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Darka is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. Darka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations for the night in question tell us of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was the sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? Well, we know. But look at me, nothing to do with it. Behind your back. Yes. The snake's clawed skin. Yeah, we pretty much figured. Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. If she just left it in her pocket, no one would have ever known. Oh yes, boys like that are Mr. Shulman's specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something. I thought deduction was his specialty, or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that's the skin of a snake. In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? It's not behind her back. I mean, well, it is, but...
Why can't you click on it?
I mean, I can, but it just says the skin.
So click on it, because it's not skin.
Oh yeah, I need to click on... Yeah, I don't have to present it. Well, it is speckled. It is a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy. A long piece of cloth of some sort. That looks like a handle at one end. I think it might be a cat's toy. This sort is common in the West, apparently. How is that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it. Haha, that sounds positively adorable. There we go. Whoops. Sorry, I meant to press triangle.
Yes! Yes!
Yes, the thing you were trying but failing to conceal is a cat's toy. Precisely the true nature of the now infamous speckled band. And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume? Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. Ah. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darka. truly troublesome feline young Darker has proven to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. Oh, cute kitty. I doubt the cat's mischievous or anything. In fact, the fact that she likes cats makes me think maybe she isn't a murderer.
No.
Yeah. Because
No way.
that's such a cute cat. She's got to be pure. It was after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand, then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she disappeared through the ventilator.
That sounds like a Sergeant Pepper special.
Yep. It's like our kitty. Darka, she's so naughty. So yeah, I don't think she was doing anything, even though I did suspect her. I mean, I did, but...
she's just trying to get her cat
she's
back.
just trying to get her cat back, yeah. It doesn't seem like she had anything to do with the murder. Okay, well... That's good, because I really wanted to believe her. She seems so innocent, but you know how this game likes to throw innocent women at us and make them just cold-blooded. How Mr. Sophie died. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life? According to the data, it would appear there to be no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances can only be explained by terrible venom. What Mr. Sholmes says is true. There were no signs of a wound. That's right. Mr. Sholmes seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Cosmo wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now. There we go.
Yes! Yes!
In fact, the circumstance of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Ah, yes, I knew it was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury is out. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Cosima died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something or someone. Yes, that's a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found, though. Presumably, Darka didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow. I suppose it's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh yes, a bad fall could explain it. It's rather hard to believe of Kazuma-sama, though. He wasn't a clumsy man. Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? Wasn't there a sword to the... Wait.
That. I think it's that.
I think it is. I just wanted to make sure.
I think that's the cat's bell.
Yeah, it looks like.
Did he trip over Skilly?
That can't be it. Because why would somebody try to frame him with the wardrobe comment?
Maybe she went over there and wrote it.
Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish. Shoe polish? Indeed, positively identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results, the undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Usogi's lace leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Usogi must have caught his foot at that point on the floor and tripped. Please no. And by a dreadful turn of misfortune caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant he lost his life. I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Osogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true, I refuse to accept it. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. But, and if this part of Mr. Sholm's deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she just cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. But there's hardly anything in there.
In the box?
Let's see. This is a waste paper basket. Perhaps all the first class. Yeah. This probably only started occupying this late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there.
The bell.
Oh, what's that? It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it? Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you.
Yes! Yes!
That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket. Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object, it would seem. One that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely, we found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Osogi's cabin. And as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly. Oh no. So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the waste paper basket in your cabin? You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not? I don't know. I don't know. It's that hushed Russian accent of yours. Won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. Yeah, we know what that is. Haruhodo? Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavlova and the little glass bell, that would be...
Yes! Yes!
If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from Darka's collar, the very glass bell in question. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly unauspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, Darka. No. It can't just be that. There's no way. I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. Death by tripping over a cat? Elementary. Let me see what the time is. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. She was so fast, she disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it? Yes. And I had read the rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. So at that point, you thought it's safe to try to lure the kitten back again? By dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator in the adjoining cabin. Decca always loves this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. So the faint whistling sound Kazuma wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to achieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes. So there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she calmed down. But then... I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Kazuma was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. The SS Bury is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. If Mr. Osogi was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet, the combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back to the ventilator. Yet Darka is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case. And now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is as insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself, at least. Now, there's more to the case, because... nothing to report, and the blank entries... There's something more to this.
I mean, she's gonna be upset and think that she killed her.
I wonder if we're gonna have to defend her in court. When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine had died, but I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right, where is it? The snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it and where did it come from? What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board this ship? Oh, I didn't say? Snake is my friend. His name is Perovsko. What? What? That snake belongs to you? He escaped from cage when emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him in here. Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals were not permitted on board. Ha, we are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without a close friend, without someone who understands? Couldn't you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake, surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in. Plus, someone wrote wardrobe, we still don't know that. No venom. Perovsko does not have venom. He is harmless, very long but very gentle. He is adorable like Granny. It's venomless? Yes. Now he is hungry, so he is in a bad mood, but once I feed him, you will see Big Smile. And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose? Ha, like they say they milk chickens? Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Perovsko eats mouses, big fat brown mouses. Ah. Oh, so... is that what the mousetrap and the passageway up there is for? Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favorite food? Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. It refuses to drink milk. It can't hear a whistle, it can't climb up a bell cord, and it's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role? It's not my fault, I did not make up stories. My Pirosh score is nothing to do with this incident. So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. Miss Pavlova, I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize, but please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But, what are you talking about, Miss Mikotova? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events, an accident. I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh. I am only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. Distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Ah, not again. When did you do that? Especially as they're on your wrist as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You were, Mr. Sholmes? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Was he not? Yes. Kazuma was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear? The truth about how you really died. About how that scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What we should ponder first is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? This is what we must establish in the first instance. But we've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident. Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Kazuma's cabin.
The writing on the floor, right?
Yeah. Because that couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? We'll just show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident. Yeah.
Yes! Yes!
The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way that Mr. Osoki could have left this message on the floor. That script, it's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language, Japanese in this case. But then maybe he was studying Russian. It's a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry, what do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There is no way that Mr. Usogi could have left this message on the floor, and the reason why is clearly explained in here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death. Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't possibly have written anything, because he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Usogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there if what Miss Pavlova told us was true. So, Susato-san had noticed it too then. Putting this message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. In other words... that was the seal. Somebody put the seal back on.
Well, he never got out.
That's right.
Oh, the book. Is it the log book where nothing was recorded? Or is that... Oh, that's not in his room, though.
No.
Alright, let's go through each one. It's not the last two.
Let's see. Well, we have to find it in his cabin. That was in his cabin.
His diary was in his cabin. What was the question asking? Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. What's the shoe polish thing? Oh, she would have gotten both pieces if she had been in there because she recognized the other one.
Right. Let's try it.
Yes! Yes!
This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's the glass belt the kitten had around its neck. We already know all about that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. We already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, there's a very big flaw, a fatal flaw. What? If that's really what happened, then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Ah. Yes, remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in that waste paper basket. Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no. Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Usogi died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Usogi's... You are wasting time. Someone else was there? Duh, of course, we know this. What are you talking about? Bulkhead was bolted shut from the inside. There was no way in or out. Oh, yes. And the only other person in the cabin when the young student died was you.
Yes! Yes!
It's true, I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian, there's no way I could have left that message. Now would have, there's no way you could have left that message to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Ah, ha, ha. Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And then, the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor for fear of it becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Hisoki really died. But why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was always going to raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. A single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would have barely cast any light into the floor there. Little wonder, then, that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of a tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? Seaman Stroganoff. Nina is a woman of sea. She is daughter of a strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills and she went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on this ship, a member of ship's band. You do not accuse ship's angel of being criminal. Ah, so that's it. You say that when young student died, Nina was there in his cabin? But that is not possible. I give my tooth. Well, that is all most interesting. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure? Oh, you are a great detective. You should know. Look truth in eye. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into cabin. Not Nina, not anyone. Or you want to tell us that the killer can walk through locked doors? Yet, it's impossible. Ah, he's right. But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread around door latches so they can open and close them from the outside. Brad, are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors. Certainly not. These are watertight doors, as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed of heavy steel with not a gap in sight, no threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so... Susato-san, how could you shift it onto me like that? So Seaman Stroganoff had a valid point. The cabin door can have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily. What? I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, we can see the traces of the method I have in mind haven't been used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you?
Yeah.
A way to shut the vault of the cabin door from the outside? One way does spring to mind, yes. Do you really know what Mr. Sholmes means, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, and so should you. Because we've seen it happen. Indeed we have. So if you care to do the honors, point out the telling signs of the method that was used to slide the cabin vault door across from the outside.
Bookcase.
Not the bookcase. That's not how it happens. I think they mean more like... Yeah.
That alarm.
Where's the alarm?
Right next to your thing.
You mean here? I can't click on it.
The horn.
I can't click on it.
Then do you have to go outside?
We can't. We can't go anywhere. We're stuck here. Unless nothing's glowing. So maybe I'm supposed to present this. Anyway, hold on.
Yes!
This is it. This shows how it was done. It certainly shows how something was done, I concur. In fact, it's an excellent way to show how easy it is to jump to the wrong conclusion. Oh. But a truly dismal way to show how the bolt could be made to slide shut from outside the cabin. Did you really need to say truly dismal? Surely it can't be possible to make the bolt slide shut without touching it at all, can it? I'm sure that it is. Something in the back of my mind tells me so. Do you know what that is? Yes, so should you.
These are the books.
Well, maybe it is the books just to show that they're also...
Yes!
Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things on it have toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's very powerful. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over. I believe, yes, it's what's known as the force of inertia acting on the objects. Is there nothing Susato-san doesn't know, or that isn't in her book at least? Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed over those books also made something else in the cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door. It was very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier. We'd come into this cabin not long before and we hadn't bolted the door, but then... Oh, yes. That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and locked the door. Yes, it's made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the force of inertia, if you want to call it that. Are you trying to say that last night, after Mr. Sogi was killed... Yes, Barry had made another emergency stop. When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hands across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I? That's when we came into this cabin. We were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Asogi's cabin. Oh my. Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova? Are you out of your mind? You say Beria made an emergency stop? It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. Oh, it is simple enough. Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? Used to trigger the emergency alarm? Oh yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there, telling you only to press the button in times of emergency? On dark nights when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. And with that, my love, I need to call it a night because I gotta go to bed for work. So, we'll continue this method of deduction afterward. But,